Thank you very much. So this pretty much sums up who I am and where I came from. I don't know if you can read it, but it says, wasting precious class time like that will get you precisely nowhere in life. And that was me. And that actually kind of looks like me, back when I had hair. And today what I'm going to talk about is storyboarding. I end up doing a lot of storyboarding. I'm at the beginning of all the projects at Isoform. I'm on science, client relationships, sketching, and to the people who spoke earlier about what to do for client calls, I think it was Kelvin, he said, do your research. It's really important that you don't wait to have the call for the client to tell you about your science story. You need to jump on that with all 4 feet and really know it ahead of time. And really, you want to know it, you want to know a little bit more than what is just in the job, so that you can speak to it, because the job is going to expand and contract and change. And so you want to be able to, you know, speak eloquently about the project and the science as you go. But today what I'm going to talk about is storyboarding specifically. And I love storyboarding. It's a great place for medical illustrators to work because we love to draw. It's the science, and we, especially as you keep working, you find tips and tricks to make things quicker, and you can really make money doing it. It's a good spot for us to be. I'm not ever going to be a great animator. I'm just not. I do a lot of the modeling, but I'm not a great animator. I don't really have the patience for it. And we have really talented people in our company, and the question is, why would I, why would I try to do something that's not going to be as nice as what they do? All right, so this is our basic storyboard template. Doesn't really matter that it's in Google Slides. You can do it in whatever format you want. But the important thing is that it has the necessary information, and it should update automatically. And here is one little trick. So you set it up with, there should be a way to set up the slides in such a way that they are formatted properly. Keep this as a template and employ it. Use it over and over and over again. Don't start every project and create this new every time you start a new project. You could do this over the weekend and have it ready for Monday morning. Also, every time I work in Google Slides, the advantage of Google Slides is we're working in a team environment. We have one version of the document. Everybody on the team works on that document. Most of our clients, we try to get them to work inside this Google Slides document with us, right? I want to be able to see what their comments are as soon as they comment on it. Sometimes I will ambush people, because you can see their little icon when they're down there working in the document, you know? And you're like, if he's in there typing on that right now, I can call him right now, because I know he's not doing anything else. He's working on that. And I'll call John Dorn, and we'll have a conversation right then. And it's much more like being in person. And one of the downsides of being remote, and I'm a remote worker, is that I can't be there in person with these people as I'm working. And so it's really nice to be able to ambush them and ruin their day. But as you're working in Google Slides, let me show you this little thing over here. I made this little box, for instance, we're going to zoom in and out, right? And so this is made, but I organized it in such a way that I can do this, right? See these little transparent circles? And so they anchor the arrows, and it allows you to move it around. It's not rocket surgery, right? It's not, And let's face it, I'm not the sharpest knife in the sandwich. So, but if I can set this up, you can set it up. Set these things up, and then when you make them, save them. Save them somewhere and keep them in the same place so you can find them every time. We do so much of this with different cells and different cell membranes and blah, 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 blah. Save those things, build these things, and use them. All right, where am I going from here? Oh, yeah. So, right, and so we make new slides and blah, blah, all that. I don't know why I keep saying the word blah, blah, but, and let me show you this. One of the things that's really nice, you want to figure out ways to automate everything that you do as much as possible. Gets rid of the drudgery, and it makes your work look more professional if you can automate it. So here, if I were to bring this in, what you really want is that thing to stay in exactly the same place, because this is going to be a series of slides, and it's going to change from slide to slide. And so what you do, and this is the next version, so that's one of those images, and that's the second one, right? Those two images. It looks a little sloppy if it jumps, if it moves by a pixel or a pixel or a pixel, and it's painful to watch someone grab that slide and move it over and nudge it in each one, and That means every time they put a new slide in, they have to, he's smiling because he does that. He does that. And so what you do is you drag it in like this. You wait for this thing to turn blue. See the blue outline? And you let go, and so now it's automatically adjusted. And it's the same image, and I screwed that up. Right, and so now when we go from slide to slide, nothing changes, right? Do that for yourself. She's like, I will do that. Yes, I will do that from now on. All right, and now I'm going to show you an actual storyboard. This is the storyboard. Storyboards are living documents. They're not supposed to look exactly like the final. In a perfect world, they would, but it's a big team full of really creative people, and also the client's got to vote, right? So the client will change things as they go along. Once we're into animation, there's no sense going back and arbitrarily updating the storyboards unless you need that storyboard for something else later on. So this is my storyboard, and I'm going to walk through it for you. Please interrupt me if you have any questions or comments as I go. I think that's the best. You can see the limited use of color here, right? This is their drug. I'm trying to show what's happening. This is about molecules that stabilize inside the bladder. As the drug warms up, it congeals. It's called a hydrogel. And then these pieces were done, these motion graphics pieces were done by our motion graphics team, not done by me. In fact, the very first part of the project is to decide what part is medical illustration and what part is going to be done by graphics. That happens very early on, and then we both go off to our respective corners and we do our work. We're communicating, but they're doing their work, I'm doing my work. And what you're going to see is as I go through this project, and I'm going to play the actual animation for you, is that, and then I'm going to try to pace it so that you can have this off to the side, and you can see the animation at the same time. All right, so I'm going to do, that's actually has to be smaller than this. Well, you're not really going to be able to see it very well. I'm still going to do it. I don't care.
Mechanism of administration video. Zosduri is an alkylating drug indicated.
This was not in the animation, this shot.
With recurrent low-grade intermediate risk.
So my storyboards basically start right here.
Zosduri is comprised of a reverse thermal hydrogel technology that contains the chemotherapy agent mitomycin. Mitomycin treats cancer by inhibiting the synthesis of DNA in replicating cells, resulting in cancer cell death. Zosduri's reverse thermal hydrogel is liquid at cold temperatures and a semi-solid gel at body temperature. Innovative RT gel delivery results in a median dwell time of 5 hours in the bladder, with reports of visible gel excreted in the urine for up to 24 hours. Zosduri is reconstituted by a healthcare professional prior to administration. If not instilled immediately, Zosduri may be stored for up to 7 days under refrigeration. Alternatively, Zosduri may be stored for up to 6 days under refrigeration, followed by no more than 24 hours at room temperature. Prior to installation, Zosduri should be chilled for 20 minutes in an ice bath. Chilled Zosduri is a thick liquid. In preparation for intravesical installation, Zosduri is drawn into 4 20-milliliter syringes.
So the motion graphics here are a lot cheaper for us to produce, and I think they provide a nice break from just pure 3D, gooey cells and motion and blah, blah, blah all the time, right? I think this makes it a better animation. And did I mention it saves us money? I did, didn't I? And you can see he changed, the animators changed the, and I don't remember if I modeled this or not. I really don't remember. But normally I would model most of that work. And it's good for the storyboard artist, I think, to be the person doing the modeling, because they won't storyboard stuff. They know think about it. If you storyboard something and someone else has to model it, you're causing a real problem for them. I'm looking right at Cameron like he and I are the only people in the room.
We don't do that. We have one artist do the drawing and another artist do the modeling.
Okay.
Specifically to confound.
But I thought it would be valuable for you to see some of this. And also, what a beautiful job our animation team did. The color alone in that thing, I think, is just really beautiful and rich. All right, so let's keep going here. I have two real technical takeaways, especially for the students, people who haven't developed all their bad life habits yet, and I want them to get those. And so let's go right to that. One is smart objects. So when I started this project, I knew all about the tumor biology that we were doing, and all about the cells and the T cell and the tumor cell and the receptors. I knew what all of that looked like. I did not know what the drug looked like. Something called a T cell engager. I knew that it connected a T cell to a tumor cell, but I didn't know what it looked like. And I mean, didn't know what it looked like at 2 o'clock on a Wednesday when I found out about this job and I had a call, I had to get something put together. So what I did was I made this shape, and it ended up in every board. All right, so this is it. I know what the tumor cell, this is my tumor cell for the storyboard, and this is this, and this is this, and this is this, and blah, 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 blah. Back on with the blah, blah. So if we go back to this board, and we come in here, these are all saved. Let me show you this. See that little icon right there? How many people use smart objects for stuff like this? Everybody's using them, right? Everybody's using them. Okay, you need to start using them because they're non-destructive. It allows you to make something really small or distorted, and then also back to its normal size, and it's non-destructive. Whatever the resolution is when you originally made the smart objects is the resolution it will always be. And again, I didn't know what this looked like. Well, later on, I heard the client say something about a Mobius strip, and so I did this. And the trick here was I made sure I lined it up exactly, right? Save it, close it, and guess what? Like magic, it appears on every board. And this has allowed me in certain instances, while we're on the phone call with the client, because I'm not the only person on the call is about project management, it's about the interactive that goes with it. I was able to fix these things with the new version, update something for the client, and get it back to them while we're still on the call. That is a tremendous, there's a million reasons why that's good for you. Not the least of which is you don't have to do it later, you can do it right then. It really builds a ton of goodwill for your client. They really think you hung the moon if you can do that kind of stuff for them. Somebody said something about over-delivering earlier. You want to over-deliver on every single job all the time, whenever you can. And whenever you can means hopefully without spending too much extra effort and money. Why are we doing that? We're building goodwill. Why do you build all that goodwill? Because sooner or later, you're going to need to spend that goodwill. You want to develop a relationship with a client, so when they come in and they say, we have to have this on Wednesday, you say, I'm so sorry, we can't do that. If you really can't. And that's much easier pill for them to swallow if you've been over-delivering all the way along. All right, smart objects. Everybody understands smart objects and how it works and all that? This actually went through and we had another iteration, but I'm not going to go through that because I'll run out of time. But I basically had 4 versions of that molecule and I could update them very quickly. I do have to show you one other thing. I don't have to show you that. I'm not going to show you that. That's silly. No. The other one is the generator plugin. How many people use the generator plugin? Oh, I love it. I love it. All right, one of my employees showed me this, and this will save your life, especially for something like sequential art. See this thing down? I use it on everything now. Even if I'm doing a single illustration that I'm going to export and send to a client 5, 6, 7, 10, 25 times, every time I make a change to a layer in Photoshop, this appendix here, .jpg, will kick out that folder as an image. Okay? And the way you do it is you name it whatever .jpg, go to File, Automate, Generator Plugin, Image Assets. When I click this, what it's going to do is it's going to make a folder at the same level of hierarchy as that Photoshop file, and into that folder it is going to put this image.
Can we do that for all images that have their visibility?
So let's do it right here. Just did it. It's creating those assets live. And it'll do it every time, without you having to go through and export and save. The drudgery of that alone, that is a game changer. Okay, smart objects and generator plugins. I can't believe not a, did anybody know about it? And anybody here used generator plugins? So Wes says maybe. Yeah, okay. Yeah. Even the mighty Samson back there in the back didn't know about it, so that is something. All right. So between saving things as smart objects, yes. Thank God somebody asked a question.
Will it work with the PNG as well?
It will save a PNG. There's also, look it up online, there's also ways you can go about putting 50% opacity, 50% scale. It will scale things and kick them out. If you know you want the whole folder with the entire image, and you also want that cell by itself, you take cell.jpg and it'll kick out that cell by itself. It's amazing. And yeah, it'll do everything. I can't remember what it's called. Yes, in the back. Say again? It's called, they moved it. In the last version of Photoshop, it was somewhere else. That's it, generator plugin. It's under Automate Generator Plugin Image Assets. Now it will overwrite those images. All those images are now temporary images. They are overwritten immediately, which I like, because any of you who know me know that I only want to have one version of anything. If I have multiple versions, I will always send the wrong version to the client. I can't, I'll screw that up.
And Andrew, we have one question in the chat from Michael Konomos. In your client relationship, does the storyboard feel like a promise to the client? Once presented, are the animators wedded to it exactly, even if they have a clever idea?
Yeah, it's a good question. The question is about, are they wedded to that storyboard? They're really not, and because pretty quickly we usually have a storyboard that goes along with look and feel, right? So they'll get a look and feel. They'll get a style frame for a thing, and I've got one of those here I can show you. So no, they're not. They're living documents, and they change. Let me get in here and find this. It all happens pretty fast. It happens pretty fast. We say, this is our plan, these are the blueprints, and the next thing we do, we're walking them through the half-built house, and they're not really looking at the plans anymore. They're looking at the animation. We will continue to send updated boards. Sometimes it depends on the client, sometimes we'll stick the actual look and feel in there for a couple of slides. What was I going to show you just a second ago? Look and feel, thank you. Any other questions? Yeah.
How would you deal with a client who's uncertain of what exactly they want?
Yeah. We do a lot of education as we go along. Most of our clients are really pretty savvy. We work with a lot of agencies, and they hire us. They hire people like us all the time. So we don't really have a lot of clients that don't know anything about it. A bigger problem is getting people who are so used to seeing something in a certain way. Take, for instance, that cut of the heart where you can see all the ventricles, the ventricles and the atria in the same plane, and everybody hates that. That thing is, or all the medical illustrators that I know hate that. And that's a harder conversation to have. It's like, why are we really showing it this way? It's anatomically, it's so wrong. But it's difficult. It's a conversation. Yeah. So this is the look and feel style frame. So we would stick that in there. In this case, this is going to be a virtual reality experience. So it's, the best thing to do is to educate them along the way. Hopefully, well, in this case, the client had a headset, and so we were sending them updated material, and they're seeing it in the headset. All right, let me keep going here. Yeah, Biora. So
Biora DDS delivery system.
A patient swallows the capsule, which contains a dose of medication and is about the size of a fish oil pill. Once swallowed, the capsule transits naturally through the gastrointestinal tract. As it progresses, the capsule uses reflected light to sense its location within the GI tract. The capsule identifies when it passes from the small intestine into the large intestine. When it senses entry to the colon, the capsule activates, releasing medication. As the capsule completes its transit, medication coats the length of the colon. The capsule then exits the body in the usual manner.
A euphemism if I've ever heard one. Let's ignore for the fact for a second that these people are selling electronic devices you swallow, and then we poop them out into the, the water system, and then that seems to be okay all of a sudden. Yeah, the usual, that's not it. I was going to get the boards to show you. I wanted to show you the boards, because in this case, I was able to use, when the job came along, I was able to use ZBrush, because I knew I had these models. I had an open mouth, and I knew I had all that. So what I did was I actually took the ZBrush models, put the camera in there, rendered them, turned them into black and white, and used those in the boards. So the boards ended up really quite finished. I didn't draw any of this, really. I mean, I probably touched up some of the lights and stuff like that. We had the model from the client. And my point in showing you this is to say, if you can bring everything, if you can do everything to the same level, I think it's worth doing. And you can do it as easily as drawing it, sure. Because one of the things you're doing with a storyboard and with any sketch is you're selling the client on your idea. And the better you're able to sell that idea, the more likely they are to trust you and to take your advice and follow you down the path, right? The scribbles are fine, and we do scribbles, really rough artwork a lot of the time, we do that. But in this case, because I knew I had every single thing I needed already in ZBrush, I'm like, you know what, a little bit of extra effort in ZBrush, I can get this thing going, and then we are ready to go into animation. And I could take these models, give them directly over to the animators, and boom, it was ready to go. Worked like a champ. And so I was going to show you one of those models. Any questions? And while that's opening, this is the depth map that I'm going to show you in just a second that I was able to get out of here. And this is the model. Let's see here. F. Yeah, that's the one. And so I knew I had this model, and so it really wasn't that hard to just stick this thing in here and render it out. Right? BPR filters, all of my stuff. I got a bunch of stuff on YouTube and that you can watch, and you can get to my YouTube links through my LinkedIn. Don't ever message me on LinkedIn. Don't message me on Facebook. Don't message me on Instagram. I don't check any of that stuff. If you need me, email me. If I don't answer, call me. And if I don't pick up, call me the next day. I'm really bad about not picking up on when I'm supposed to. I got 6 minutes left. Let me keep going here. Oh, one other thing about this that was kind of interesting was it didn't really work out the way I wanted, and so I distorted it. I made the secum bigger so that I had the correct view of the camera that I wanted. Rather than changing the camera, I just stretched the anatomy out till it filled the screen where I wanted it. It worked fine.
Do you have any ZBrush UI tips, like stuff that you stick in the corners?
Yeah, I came up with my own menus. I think that's on my on my YouTube channel as well. I should check into that because I should show that. I wanted to show you. I only have 5 minutes left. One of the things that I do a lot is I have a brush that I made, and it does. All right, there we go. And it allows you to do that, right? It's very simple to do. It's really not that hard to do. And what you do is you make this thing as a shape, right? And then you do image, layer, edit, define brush preset. And then once you do that, you edit it here. You just change the settings here. And I made a little YouTube video of just this thing to show you how it works. You change the spacing. And actually what I should have done here was I should have scattered it a little bit. Just a tiny bit. So now it does. Right? One of the other ones that and then you save those brushes. This is a super useful brush. Think about how long it would take to do that, to get all those arrows, get them evenly spaced, rotate it around. It's really it's really simple, you know. That would take a ridiculous amount of time, and to what end? It wouldn't, you know, it's not going to make it any better. Let's see here. 3 minutes and 46 seconds. Well, I made this little thing as a video, so it's all in here, so you can watch it. Any questions? Why don't I have 3 minutes of questions? Yes? Mm-hmm. We don't really have a lot of problems with that. And also, we're showing them style frames as we go. So they're seeing what this is going to look like. And we talk to them a lot about it's like having the blueprints for a house. And, you know, we also use that same analogy to talk about copyright. We say, you know, with the carpenter that shows up to build your kitchen cabinets, you don't own the planers, you don't own the drills, you don't own these other things. And so we sell them the end product, but we keep all the tools we use to make those things. And in terms of intellectual property, that's huge for us because we keep all the models, all the code. Yeah. Any other questions? Oh, come on. Go ahead.
Common problem you see with people's storyboards?
With people's storyboards.
As someone who wants to get better at storyboarding.
I like to put a little fit and finish in the storyboards. I like storyboards to be brought up to a little bit higher level. Most of them are so basic and they're so bad and they have such bad arrows in them, you know, and they get the job done. You know, they're not going to fire you because they don't like the storyboards. They're already committed. You've already got 40% of their money. You know, they're not going to say no, and they're going to love the final. You know, the final animation is what they're buying. They're not really buying the storyboards. But I do think it helps to have storyboards that are a little more finished if you can do it. One thing about managing client projects, I make comments during the call, and I put my comments as I'm making them, action items for these things as I'm making them. I want my clients to see what I'm going to do by Tuesday of next week. I own some of that, and they own some of that. And so at the end of the call, if I didn't have an action item there, then they're not going to get it. After the call, I'll go back and I'll tidy those up. I'll make sure the spelling's correct. I'll also make sure that I'm putting notes in there for myself about how I'm going to accomplish this. I'm amazed at how quickly I forget those things. One of the other things you should always do on calls, you should feel free to do, is tell your clients to hold on. If you're ever on a call, some of these calls will have 20 people on them. Some of them have more than that. Several people are talking, they're hashing out ideas. If they have told you to do something, or if you said you're going to do something, or if they've given you an action item and you're trying to type it down and they're still talking, I will tell them, I'm so sorry, can you please hold on? Guess what they do as soon as I say that? They start talking, they keep talking. Invariably, they continue to talk. And you say, Ron's in the back laughing. He's like, that's what they do. And so what you do is you say, I'm very sorry. It's almost a power move. I'm very sorry. Can you please hold on? I have to write this down. And then everybody gets quiet. And what does that do? The main thing that does is that brings the tempo down. And the tempo drops a tiny bit gives you space to think, gives them space to think, and it allows you to organize your thoughts and get out of that call knowing what you're going to do. I'm amazed. I know it's flashing. I'm amazed at how often a call will end, and if I didn't do that, I'm like, what am I doing? I can't remember. You know, I don't know what I'm doing. Make sure you're taking the time during the call and saying, listen, I need some time to write my notes here. This is all going too fast. The best thing to do is to have someone, and that is their job on that call. And I had that person for a while, and she left me, and I'm still pissed off about it. Because she did a better job. She did a much better job with it than I do. Yeah.
Don't you also think that it's also important that you reiterate what those action items are before you close the call?
Yeah, no, they're reading them. That was my point. I'm writing them down, so they're reading them. I'm saying, I'm going to do this. Andrew is going to, I put Andrew will, blah, blah, blah. Yeah. All right, my time's up.